Good morning to everyone. Welcome to another, I could say, live cast. Yours, Lennox Smith, of course. And as I said, what you can do is share, because this morning's podcast, or this morning live cast, will be one relating to, of course, the albatross called the PNM. And of course, the fact of the matter is that Laventil's development resides in the purview of Laventillians. Laventil has been neglected, it has been abused, it has been ridiculed, it has been assigned the unacceptable stigma of being the crime capital of the country and a place to always avoid, whether it is within the country, persons within the country, or in the rest of the as far as the rest of the population is concerned. And of course, when we talk about international advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, Laventil is the place that no tourists or no person from a foreign country, whether it's North America, South America, Europe, Asia, etc., Laventil is a place that none of them must go. But I want to quickly demonstrate to you the development perspective developed by the community itself. I think it is a critical thing to understand, and off the cuff, I think we should be looking at that, because many years ago, we're talking about 2025 coming forward, development programs of different types. And of course there's a macro program, and then of course you have the micro program looking at modules for development within specific communities of Laventil. And whether we talk about Belmont, or we talk about Nelson Street and environs, or we talk about Beetham, we talk about, and then we have gone further to also look at taking those models, but of course unique to the specific community, and model developmental initiatives by the people, of the people, for the people, from within these communities. And of course, communities similar to that of Laventil, whether it be Maloney, whether it be La Hocata, with the hope, of course, that these models can be transplanted all across the country as a success model for development by the people, again, of the people and for the people. I want to be quick on this by going through the different modules and the different developmental initiatives that has happened and has been taken over the years by Laventillians. But of course, you know, successive PNM administrations would ignore this because the people have taken charge of your responsibility. So the first thing that Laventil must do is change its political perspective. And any opposition at all. But in this case, of course, there's no choice but the UNC, having regard to the acceptability of Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and of course the UNC as a party that is certain not only to rival, and has been rivaling, the PNM, but is the alternative to the PNM as well. Because without the politics, the quality of life that you pursue, the quality of the air that you breathe, the kind of cars that you drive, the kind of furniture you have in your house or office for that matter, the kind of infrastructure that you get, the kind of amenities that you get, the quality of the electricity supply, etc., water and so on, drainage, and of course how you respond to flooding, etc. All of these realities of life depends on politics. Politics causes you to breathe the kind of air that you breathe. Of course, barring nature's overwhelming capacity to, of course, sully the best plans of man. For example, Sahara dust is now visible. But I just want to just run through these documents quickly. This first one is the Laventil for Laventillians. Let me just make sure I get into the picture. Laventil for Laventillians Transformation Program. development program, of course, and the main document, and cost estimates, budget separated, of course. Theme, own a piece of Trinbago. The theme of this document is own a piece of Trinbago, and of course, using the empowerment zone concept. Using the empowerment zone concept. Empowerment zone is very simple. It is a concept developed by myself and Dr. Ghatty James of Tobagonian in New York when I visited there in 1998, 99, looking at models to transplant back into Trinidad, and therefore we came up with this idea. And I was supposed to, of course, come back. I, Lennox Smith, supposed to come back and, of course, implement. But, of course, I did not get the support of the administration. And by that time, you had intervening, clearly, UNC governments that created a further stall because they didn't have time to look at this model, not believing that Laventille could come up with its own initiative. But apart from that, let's face it, the politics was such that Laventille did not attract the attention of the UNC in the way that we would have, wise in government, simply because we were steadfast and not giving them the, let's say, the encouragement, the motivation to get inside of Laventille and deal with issues such as these. On this occasion, come the 10th of August, I am certain that Laventille, at least one of the Laventilles, and I sincerely believe that it will be Laventille East Mover that will be in the arms of or in the bosom of the UNC, and therefore delivery of these various initiatives will become a reality, having looked at it for many years. Of course, let me go through quickly. In this document, you have a lot of graphs. Lots of graphs, you see, lots of graphs. For the development plan, lots of graph. We have, of course, the basic needs and issues. We covered that in brief some time ago. And we're looking at land and property. We're looking at, of course, improvement to existing homes. We're looking at the improvement of existing infrastructure, and we can go on and on. Employment. It look at education and training. It look at recreation. It looks at the establishment of a bursary and scholarship programs supported by the state and private sector. So quite a number of issues across the social and economic spectrum, including, of course, the psycho and infrastructural ones as well. And of course, this is another presentation of the issues that concerns Laventille here, and of course it says a strategy for transforming Laventille. Strategies for transforming Laventille. There is it, and as I said, quite a beautiful presentation that can match any other in the country in terms of developmental initiative and modules, as I said, specific to each community, and some of which can be transplanted or used as a platform or basis to develop other communities, both within Laventille and outside of Laventille. And of course, in this case, you have priority issues to be addressed and forced. Of course, establish the central administration center, deed provision for HGC homes, the People's Mall, the reconstruction of the People's Mall, Rock City replication. That is a special project that Mr. Manning introduced by utilizing an all-government approach, and we thought that would have been something that would be applicable to other parts of Laventille. So this is, and we can go right down to create initiative that is provided by the present situation with respect, of course, to reconciling the reconciliation that occurs by provided by the Ministry of Social Development, where the people come there and they sort of resolve their issues and so on. Something similar to that. I have to move on. Of course, this is the main document, some 52 pages. 52 pages, and of course it has all of the issues that any community such as Laventille would want to raise. And of course this has come as a consequence of many years of research and development. So I just want to raise the issue with respect to the empowerment zone and all of the issues that I raised earlier. We have a number of graphs to represent what we are looking at and what we are looking for. We have all of that as well contained, documented, and that is what we want. People don't believe that Laventille has that capacity, but we can develop ourselves by virtue of our collective ability to treat with the various matters. That is another document, very important one, is the data that we have collected in order to give credence or to condense in such a way so as to make actual programs and projects a reality, but of course you must first document it, and this is what has happened. This particular document is called the Laventille Human Development Indicators, Social, Economic and Cultural Data and Analysis Information, and of course it goes across the social spectrum. It talks about the number of property for sale in Laventille. It talks about the property owners who prefer to sell and leave the area. It talks about the number of professionals professionals, lawyers, doctors, etc., residing in the area. All this data is here, and of course I'm going to go down to the last one, youth gravitation to crime data. All of that is contained in the research, the results of the research that was done over the years. So again, it's not that Laventille has been sitting. The thing is that you have a situation where you have a party that has been in government for over nearly 50 years and have not take cognizance or notice of these very important developments from within the bowels of the community, simply because those persons who are that sensitive have been targeted and victimized, myself included, when of course these kinds of positive developments are taking place. So that is the reality. You'll excuse me, let me just get some what I consider to be wiping material, because I mean I was hustling this morning and I have to go to, of course, the ground report program that starts at 6, and we are in Tonopuna this morning, the ground report, and therefore I thought I should have a podcast before to just run through quickly these documents. Again, here it is. We have a graph representation of a number of social issues. In this one, for example, a survey of new trends emerging, motivational phenomena responsible for heinous crimes and criminal conduct, and this was conducted between November 10th and November 2010 to May 2011. So quite a number of documents that we have been engaged in. Let me just get some wiping materials. I'm sweating a little bit, so let me just get that and return shortly. Yes, indeed, my apology, but this is all in one day's work. But we're going to the ground report, which should leave here in the next 15 minutes or so. So let me just quickly, another document. It is talking about Laventille Development Plan. Again, with the theme, together let us take back our community, a working document. So this is a working document, again, with several rubrics or several headings, or subheadings, if you want to call it that, where of course Laventille saw the problem and decided to do something about it and document it. And therefore, in this case, in the table of contents, for example, we have a situation where pre-proposal analysis, of course, of social and welfare delivery assistance support. We are looking at pensions. We're looking at squatter regularization. We are looking, in this particular document, we are looking at removal of NIS deduction from URP wages, because that's the reality of the place. As we move to sustainable development and sustainable work and employment and so on, you'll still have to depend on programs, makeshift programs such as URP and so on, and therefore we are saying that NIS and these kind of things must be avoided, so that the little $500 you're getting must not be subjected, of course, to that kind of taxation. I think they have since, I think currently, because this is a very old document, you're talking about 2005, so there might have been some adjustments that might have been made in the interim, so don't hold me to it. But the fact is that I'm saying that we're talking about agriculture, economic and employment generation. We're talking about contracts. We're talking about computerized employment bureau. Very, very significant, because we have quite a number of persons who don't know where to go and get a job. But if you have a bureau that, of course, matches employment opportunities with those who are unemployed or who have been fired or who are entering employment because of age and having just left school and don't want to, and is not engaging, of course, in tertiary or other academic pursuits. Of course, this is where this bureau comes in. Of course, sports and youth development, crime, prison again, of course, cottage industry, enhancement and development. All of that business we are looking at. And again, the content of the document, here is it again. This one is about 23 pages, and of course the conclusion says, let me just read the first paragraph in the conclusion. The Executive Council of Laventille feels the Executive Council was part of it in terms of the elderly people, so let's say senior Laventillians had their input in this document and developing the model for the development of Laventille on a sustainable basis. So it says, so the Council of Laventille feels that the justification outlined above provides an irrefutable argument for investment in Laventille and environs at this time. The academic and practical analysis preferred cannot be refuted. The government has therefore been provided with the ammunition to justify all actions towards delivery on this budget. It is for the first time that a comprehensive presentation of this nature has been prepared by any organization of and on behalf of Laventille and environs community. This by itself demonstrates our commitment and seriousness. So the first paragraph of the conclusion of the document calls the Laventille Development Plan. The motto is a vision for the future, and again, together, let us take back our community, a working document. So we have a working document as well. Incidentally, all of this was sent to Dr. Rowley, so his bleed heart statements about report. So all of these documents feed into the main documents that I presented to you earlier in order to come up with a sustainable plan. So sorry about that. Dr. Rowley cannot say that the African community has not been looking at themselves and developing initiatives to treat with the issues of youth, of those persons who are adult, those persons who are engaged in criminal activities or potential thereto, and looking for solutions that will make them be contributing productive citizens. And here we go. So this is another report coming out from the ad hoc committee for the eradication of crime in Laventille. Again, looking at all aspects of crime, and it says here, this is normally it's an annual event, 2 days workshop seminar, and of course we would use several venues in order to treat with it. It says strategies for the eradication of crime in Laventille and environs. And look at it. Look at it. Inputs from all across the Laventille spectrum, all across the Laventille, I consider to be diaspora, if you want to call that, but from a microcosm perspective. All of that was done. All of it. Look at this graph here. Thinking and choices. We looked at the transformation of the mind as well. How do you generate a mind that would be productive and contributing to itself, the family, the neighborhood, and the community, and by extension the nation, and even the methodology of thinking and for the transformation process we have also examined and documented. So thinking and choices, public speaking, right, a vital leadership skill. We looked at that. We looked at for the articulation of issues, negotiation and project management. All of that is part of it. And of course, we can go talk about collective as well as individual choices. The choices you make, that is what we are talking about here. As individuals, we regret choices that we make that may be bad, and so people end up in prison, they end up vagrants, they end up dispossessed, they end up displaced as well. And the choices include, of course, your political choice. And the choice that we have made politically over the years have not benefited the Laventille community over the years, and therefore we must now do what is right in our own best interest, having regard to the establishment of these kinds of analysis and data collection, and of course at the end of it all for the benefit of our young people in particular and the community in general. So this is another document from the Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Laventille that has an annual seminar workshop on crime and the nuances, the new developments. It was I at a presentation organized by the Ministry of National Security to address the National Security Council in 2009, organized of course by the then Minister of National Security, Mr. Martin Joseph. And this was presented, in fact, for the first time they knew that in Never Dirty Mover, for example, young people or gangsters were invading people's home, commandeering it, meaning taking it over, and people had to run out of their own homes. And we are seeing that revisited today in St. Paul Street in East Portsmouth. That is something that I presented to the National Security Council back then, and here it is. It has raised its head right in East Portsmouth, in those apartment buildings at St. Paul Street, and of course we preferred solutions as well. So it is very difficult for me to accept that the government, Dr. Rowley's PNM, does not know what the problems are unless they don't take time to read those documents that have been sent to them, Dr. Rowley in particular, in order to treat with it. So on Emancipation Day, Dr. Rowley has no excuse to say, listen, he didn't know. What we want is not to look at the problem with that recovery committee that he has formed. What we need to look at is implementation. And this one, of course, is we have a broad team called Possibility and Possibility Observatory, Bad Street and environs. Everybody knows that you're not supposed to go there if you're an outsider because of the crime and criminality that takes place in that area. But the people have to solve the problem, and therefore the project proposal for Bath Street and Observatory Street is quite comprehensive indeed, because we recognize that, listen, there are a number of institutions right in that community, whether it be AGC, whether it be the General Hospital, whether it be gas stations, whether it be churches, etc. And each one of them can play their part in terms of bringing some relief overall to the community, and by extension halt the production of young persons who may gravitate to a life of crime. All of these things we did. A five-prong approach, for example. Component. I just read this quickly. What is that? In the case of Observatory Street, the fundamental achievable goals of the program are as follows: 1, social intervention facilitation, business development and employment generation. We have training and education opportunities, the MLIO model. That is, of course, the organization that I founded and has trained over 6,000 young persons of the type that we are concerned about today. We have, of course, finally, number 5, community camaraderie and interaction for empowerment, self-development, and self-determination for sociological realignment and destigmatization. And these things, we did it. This is for Bath Street alone, and Observatory Street. We did it. Possibility, Observatory Bath Street and environs. We did it. We have it. We have the development plan for ourselves. Dr. Rowley, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And of course, quickly moving on, we have possibility here. Let me just open up this one so you see clearly what I'm talking about. This is serious business. The Lavender Committee has not been joking. Those of us who are conscientious, and they will get the impression from the national community and those who are supposed to know better and be in charge of our business that we are jokers and we don't want to solve our problem. Look, this one, possibility in Nelson Street, and of course you will see the young men and them who were part and parcel of the contribution, the inputs of this particular document. I cannot give you the details except to say that, of course, it came out as a consequence of the SOE in 2011, and again it demonstrates all of the issues in graph form, whether it be social intervention, sporting and cultural activities, churches, groups, institutions, bring all stakeholders and movers on board, community personalities, taxi drivers, shopkeepers, pan leaders, etc. All of these are prepared. This one I think is about 20-something pages, right? Specific for the community of Nelson Street and environs. Again, if this was implemented long time ago, it means that therefore we would not have had much of that problem that we are having now in East Port of Spain. Yes, understand that, right? Transformation, possibility, Nelson Street. The document is here. Is implementation, Dr. Rowley. Implementation. You cannot come now with no bleed heart, ignorance, pleading of ignorance on Emancipation Day. Well, you're going to make a serious announcement, we know that, but it's only an attempt, of course, to ingratiate yourself and to salvage the embarrassment, the complete and total embarrassment that the COVID measures and those measures that prior to COVID that created poor people to be in a maelstrom, in a disastrous situation where they have become even poorer as a consequence of that, and your measures have not worked. You could talk how much you want all over the place. The consequence of, or the motivation for the resistance and the rebellion of the East-West Corridor community is as a consequence of your poor COVID measures execution. Beautiful on paper, beautiful in talk, but in terms of execution, this is what you want. You want to execute. So therefore, that recovery committee is a waste of time, and it will only produce more documents like these, and they will have to come to people like me in order to treat with those matters, whether it be Nelson Street, whether it be Duncan Street, whether it be East Port of Spain, whether it be Laventil as general, whether it be Beetham, whether it be Sealats, whether it be Maloney, whether it be La Hoqueta, etc. Persons like myself, you will have to come to talk. There is no need to talk. There are modules. This one is a comprehensive proposal for the Beetham community. This one, it's here. Shirma Wilson, maybe you could talk with her, because this was produced partially in discussion with her in her home in the Beetham. So if you don't want Lennox Smith, because I am too independent of thought and would tell you as it is, then seek your own people. Talk to Julia Davy, and let us get the implementation processes going. And we're out of time now, so I have to speed up. So this one is for Beetham. A module, implementation module named Comprehensive Project Proposal for Beetham Community. The community knows the problem, and the community has put pen to paper and produced these documents. Understand that. And Beetham, because of the landfill, because of the businesses that skirts the northern side of the priority bus route, can, if a focus is made and an intervention by the state, even if it's just to cajole, if it is just to say that you are part of, a lot of employment could be generated, permanent employment, so that the problems there can be once and for all totally solved. Why it is that people from outside must occupy the employment spaces of these businesses when one can just walk to work because they are in close proximity to the Beetham community itself. You have Wassa lines running below Beetham, in the earth, of course, in the ground, but going towards the wastewater or the treatment plant across on the southern side of the Beetham. But from time to time, it overflows, and therefore you can have a team of persons monitoring that so that you don't generate any disease and all that kind of thing. All of that is in these documents. the flooding that takes place on the Eastern Main Road, for example, in this document there is a proposal for development of traps on the northern side of the priority of the 12 main drains that traverse, moving from north to south across the Beetham. There's a proposal here for traps. Why? Because a lot of debris come from whether it be plastics, whether it be earth from the hills as the rain comes and washes down, so that you can empty that, you can use that in order to generate again employment, but at the same time look at the environmental positive environmental consequences of such an initiative. Quite a lot of them. This is for the Beetham. Dr. Rowley, we have the documents, we have done the research. All you need to do is to implement. Let me carry you to another one. This one is for the Beetham Gardens. We have for La Hoqueta, we have for Maloney. On the next occasion, maybe I'll just run them through quickly. But let me just say that this one is in respect of proposal, annual inter-community beauty pageant and sports program, again to bring the community together, the community of Beetham, to bring it together. We understand that the strategic location of the Beetham and the disruption that can be caused if for whatever reason they become angry and they can block the Beetham Highway, they can block the Eastern Main Road, they can block the priority bus route, and that has happened in the past. Anybody who is a Trinbagonian would know of the disruption and the panic that creates when these community, the community of Beetham, decides, of course, to take action that would be disruptive to commerce, to people going to their ordinary workplace, or even going for medical treatment, etc. because they wouldn't announce to you when it's going to happen. They just do it for maximum effect and attention to their problems. Dr. Rowley wasn't beaten. He said it's a special place with special problems and needs special solutions. How come these solutions are not there when you have documents from the community indicating how these problems can be solved? They are there. Dr. Rowley has a copy, and therefore he cannot say some 300 pages of initiatives that was condensed into that particular document, a compendium, you could say, right? Look in this case for a list of events, for example, looking at beauty pageant, first prize, second prize, and so on, and we can go on and on. This is specifically to bring the camaraderie and avoid the borderline issue and the gang wars that would usually plague these communities. Understand that, and this is where it is. We even had, as a consequence of this particular presentation and document to Mr. Manning, he provided a prime ministerial trophy for the overall winner of the 5-phase competition that BTM is comprised of. You have all of that inside of there. Again, this document is a proposal annual inter-community beauty pageant and sports program on the BTM. Understand that. And we have 2 other documents that I would like to share with you, but I run out of time. But certainly on the next occasion, I'll certainly share it with you where Maloney is concerned and where Lahokata is concerned. We have them, whether it's education, whether it's sports, whether it's youth development, whether it's crime, whether it is employment opportunities, and how do you generate employment, sustainable employment, and put bread and butter on people's table by the community, of the community, and for the community. Please share this live, share it. Of course, you can ask your people or people who you believe would be interested in knowing what transpired here today. You can, of course, look for Alfred John on Facebook, of course, and then you would see all of the previous as well as this current one. So thank you very much for your time and attention, and share, because this is crucial, and you have a duty, Laventil, on the 10th of August to firstly change your political stance if you really want to redeem yourself and to have these documents implemented. Because I want to tell you as well that this has been sent to Kamala Prasad-Bissessa, and I can tell you she is a man, she's a woman of her word, and therefore will make certain that these projects are implemented both in the micro sense and in the macro sense. So Dr. Rowley has a copy. I gave him one in the beginning of his term in 2015. I gave him one just about last month, after, of course, that upheaval on June 30th. I gave him one as well, and no response, obviously. So therefore, it's not a matter of whether or not we have projects to propose, but it's a matter of who. And therefore, because I have told him in no uncertain terms who I think he is, he, of course, may be holding some sort of grudge for a reality that he has not been able to respond because of my own stance on moral and ethical grounds. So when they come to you, you accommodate them, yes, in Laventil, but at the same time, yeah, you listen to them, but you know your experience has been that of total pain, ache, and therefore the hogwash that they will spew and say, for example, Heinz, I see on the beat I'm talking about, he has been, the PNM has been with us from 56 and 60 and 70 and 80 and 90 and 20. The fact of the matter is that it's not you with us, it's we have put you there, and therefore it's what you have returned to us in exchange for the entire treasury of the country, and you have delivered poorly, you have delivered sparsely, you have delivered in such a way that the morass and the dereliction or the derelict situation that Bitam and East Port of Spain, Laventil and so on is now experiencing, including Mova, I mean, it is atrocious. Once again, look for your UNC, your UNC candidate, look for, of course, the UNC symbol, and you vote solidly in your own best interest, because once we are at the dinner table, we will be able to get the nourishment that we want. If we are not, and we again get fooled or be fooled or cause ourselves to be fooled by the P&M, certainly you're going to get the bread that the devil needs. I say no. Thank you very much, and again, share.